Hello, my name is Mark, and we are going to cover the expertise of running. Running is a great daily activity. I'm sure we've all ran one time or another, whether it be gym class or for sport. What I'm going to be covering in my 3 points are: one is injuries and how they can occur. Two is the correction of your posture and your landing in order to prevent these injuries and to correct them. And the third would be preventative injuries. We always would like to be able to prevent injuries if we can. Um, so the book I have studied on the subject and my reference throughout the whole speech is Born to Run by Mr. Christopher McDougall. It's a national bestseller. Christopher, the writer of the book, actually had real life experiences to where he would feel pain in his sole and would get Achilles tendonitis, and he didn't even run that much. He ran about 3 days a week, about 3 miles at a time. So it's not even marathon level. So he went to a sports medicine expert, Joe Torg, who told him not to run anymore. He said, "You are just not meant to run. Running is an unnatural phenomena which should be avoided if need be." So he did not recommend running at all. And he went to the point to where he wanted to go and study and find how are these other people running. Marathon runners, they had statistics that showed that 8 out of 10 runners would get an injury every year. So it's very high. And there was a tribe which he studies in the book, the Tarahumara, which are a Northern American style tribe that hide up in the mountains, and supposedly they could run 100 miles a day every day. There were stories of being able to chase a deer down to where they die of exhaustion, and these tribal members would easily be able to just go and just outrun their prey. And apparently they also had secret medicines and herbs that made it to where they could just keep running and not get tired. So he went to go study this, and basically, to make a long story short, that the injuries occurred because there's so much pressure on the joints and the bones in the legs. They're taking double their body weight, so there's going to be a lot of damage done over time. And things like the new shoes with mechanical in them, with comfort soles, none of all those are going to do is prolong the inevitable. So as far as injuries, they just occur naturally. And most of the reason with Christopher, with his injuries, were actually he kept landing on his heel. And his heel, it's like you're putting on the brakes every time you land. You should be doing it in the middle of your foot, which he kept landing on his heel every time, and that would shock his body, and mainly his feet, causing these abrupt pains every single time. So he wasn't able to do very much, and he did not know this at the time. His posture was also off. His head kept bobbing all the time, which you're supposed to keep it straight. And his shoulders kept bobbing with his arms, and that is also bad for posture. So he wasn't really able to get any good rhythm running. So those were a few of the causes that should have been corrected. So after going over the injuries of Achilles tendonitis, sprains in the calves, sole pain, the muscle strains, they were all due to posture, head movement, and foot landing. So you need to incorporate landing on the sole of your foot and also picking out the right type of equipment. As far as equipment goes, it can help you with posture. The shoes I currently use are Vivo Barefoot. They're not that well known at the moment, but what they're supposed to do is simulate barefoot. So barefoot is a natural way to run. All of these other shoes like Reebok and Adidas, they have these huge heels. They're supposed to stop shock. But what those really do, they just tend to basically make you land on your heel, and they influence that quite a bit. and landing on the midfoot is optimal, and it's being prevented with certain shoes, most shoes. And I found out that I would wear out a lot of the heel parts of the shoe because I kept landing on my heel, and that caused me to get Achilles tendonitis a few times. So you need to incorporate those three things to prevent any kind of current injury, to sustain your runs and be able to get up the next day and again. Preventative part of the whole process of preventing injury is stretching is a huge one. Most people neglect stretching, or they stretch wrong. So when they're running initially, they tend to have problems with, they may stretch 10 seconds, 15 seconds just on a few parts of the body, when really you should be stretching your arms, your calves, all of the tendons in your legs and your feet, and you should be able to not feel any tightness. You also should never bounce during the stretching period, because when you bounce, it's telling your body that something is wrong, something is pulling on you, and it goes into an effective mechanism to where it tightens much more to prevent overstretching, which is what bouncing does. And there are even high quality, higher up athletes that still bounce when they stretch because they never learned how to stretch correctly. So stretching is number one, and not to overstretch. Another preventative injury idea that is still being studied is to wear the right socks. This is to wear on the actual skin. Some people get blisters from running, and usually it's because they're trying to wear cotton socks. They have all kinds of new socks coming out on the market that's getting some good popularity. I particularly use Balega. They are a very good brand that prevents sweat soaking into the socks, and that in most socks previous would have issues with that. They would end up just rubbing against the areas, causing a chafing in your feet actually. So what you should do is try to get research-backed equipment, try it out, and also be able to get that natural running going on that our ancestors have used, and that this Tarahumara tribe uses up in the mountains. So that concludes my speech. Thank you.